Hey Raswan, thank you for joining. We have few questions from our community in regards with vector database. So I'll be asking you some questions, and if you can help me clarify those, it'll be good.
Hi, Faraz. Sure, we can get started. Yep.
Good. So to start with, we have a question. What are the prerequisites before starting the integration for vector database?
Right. So when you log into or sign up to Lyzr Studio, the one thing that you have to realize is that you don't have to absolutely sign up with any other vector store providers. But if it comes to you using your own vector stores, you will have to sign up with whichever vector store that you're going with and have those credentials ready.
Uh, what are the vector stores that we have as of now on Lyzr Studio?
So on Lyzr Studio, we have Qdrant, Weaviate, SingleStore, and PG Vector. These are the four vector stores that are available.
Okay. And how do I authenticate and securely connect these third-party databases or vector stores to our studio? If you can show a demo of it, I think that should be helpful.
Sure. This will depend on each vector data store I'm using, but sharing my screen and doing a small demo uh, can help us here.
Yeah.
So yeah, here this is Lyzr Studio, and when you scroll down to Data Connectors part, here is where you will be able to see all the vector databases. So for example, let's take Qdrant, and you have this button, View Documentation. When you click on this documentation, you will be redirected to the documentation page of that vector database. And for Qdrant, we will be using Cloud. So when I click on Qdrant Cloud, this gives me a detailed step on how to go and set up my Qdrant data vector store and also how to connect it. So once I've done all of these, something like this will pop up. This is my cluster. This is my endpoint, and I can also view my API key. So going back to Lyzr Studio, to connect this, you'll have to give it a name, something like sample DB, and you will have the URL from here, and you will have the API key from here. So it's as simple as pasting 3 credentials.
Okay. So is this same for all the different vector stores or there is some different procedure?
Depends on them. So for Weaviate, similar to Qdrant, we have 3 credentials. And for SingleStore, for example, we have a bit more of complicated set of instructions, but eventually they're all the same. You will just have
Okay,
to follow the documentation, which is linked to here. It's very guided and won't take more than 10 minutes of your time.
got it. So in Lyzr Agent Studio, do we have both read and write operations for this vector database?
Yes. So in Lyzr Studio, when you create a knowledge base with a vector database, you can add data to it and also you can read data from it. So both are possible using Lyzr Studio.
Hmm. Got it. And can I use environment variables or secrets for credentials?
So the credentials that you're adding are secretly stored in Lyzr's side, and these are
Hmm.
used to create a connection with the database and add or retrieve from them. So whatever you're using are stored safely with Lyzr.
Got it. And how do I handle schema mismatches or unstructured data on Lyzr Agent Studio?
So on Studio, the very interesting thing about our knowledge base is that your data need not be structured. So
Hmm.
it could be as simple as a unstructured text or a PDF file or a text file. So adding all of these does not mean that it has to be structured. So all of these are parsed, created into vectors, and stored in the vector database. So you don't have to worry about parsing it or structuring it.
Okay. Also, can you in short tell us what is difference between like structured and unstructured database?
So, structured database will be your SQL database, for example. So, SQL database have a column and the value attached with it. So, the whatever the column will have a defined set of values that is expecting. It could be either integer or a text format or a date time format. So, these are structured. You will not be able to store more data or additional keys other than what is defined. But on the other hand, unstructured, that is what we are talking about here in vector databases, could involve anything. It could involve just text, just integers, all of them together. So this is what we mean by unstructured, and these are parsed and created into chunks and stored in these databases.
Hmm. Okay, so just now we saw that we do have a no code or low code UI to configure these data sources in Lyzr. But can we customize it more? Like as a developer, if I want to customize it further, uh, like what are the more options that I get?
Right. So connecting vector databases, this is as simple as it gets, and there is not much more you can do with here. But on the other hand, as a developer, if you're trying to create a knowledge base, you will have more flexibility in what you're doing.
Okay, so how does Lyzr handle failures or retries during data fetch or push?
So during when you're uploading, retries are dependent, like the chunks are retrieved, and the chunks that are retrieved are tried to store into the database. So the chunking mechanism retries with multiple algorithms. But if there's a connection issue, then that needs to be resolved. So nothing further happens.
Got it. And how can I use multiple databases within a single agent? Is that possible?
So currently, single agent does not support multiple databases. So one vector database is what you can connect to a agent, and one particular knowledge base is what you can connect to an agent.
Okay, and if I am having an multi-workflow where there are more than two agents, can
Mhm.
those different agents use different database and still work fine?
Yes. So if you're using a workflow of two agents, one agent could use Qdrant, other could use Weaviate, and this would work with no problems. This will work smooth as expected.
Okay. Do you want to throw some highlights on when to use which database? Is there any specific use cases for each database?
So talking about databases, vector databases are these are different providers, and the reason why we use them is for unstructured data. And when you're using for a knowledge base and for RAG specifically, is when you go for a vector database. But on the other hand, the remaining things that you see here are SQL databases, and these are used when you have a structured data or you have a database that you want to connect, and your agent to make use of that data and answer queries. That is when you use these SQL uh, databases. So there is a differentiation in when you should use SQL versus vector. But on the other hand, the differences between each vector database is not much, and it comes down to personal preference.
Got it.